It's the Brad and John Show.
And it is the Brad and John Show. Today's date is March 28th. It's a Friday. This is B Block, which means we started around 7:20 or so. John, can I diverge from our normal political talk just for a minute here?
Oh, yeah. Please do.
Have you ever heard of a guy, it's funny because some people call him Rick Beato, but he actually pronounces his name Beato, B-E-A-T-O. You ever seen this guy on YouTube? You know who I'm talking about?
No, what does he do?
Okay, what he does is he's a musician, and he dissects songs. And he interviews a lot of, famous musicians and things like that. But what he does, which I find fascinating, did you ever play any instruments when you were in school? Did you take music up, piano or anything like that?
Yeah, I played the drums.
Did you really? Like whole set of drums?
Yeah, I played for 5 years, yeah.
Did you play like the whole set of drums or just like a snare drummer?
No, I did all percussion, yeah.
I mean, but like a whole set, like, you sit down with a bass pedal and a hi-hat and cymbals.
You don't play drums. No, I played in school, so I didn't play I didn't take garage band lessons where you have an old-timey PV drum set and you bang the foot pedal or anything. No, I just played, I was trained to do, snare drum, bass drum, keyboard, marimba, things like that.
Well, nowadays you could have gone to School of Rock, you know what I'm saying?
I could have. Go ahead, though, Brad.
Okay. This guy, I watched this last night, and I watched it again this morning before I got up this morning. He does this incredible thing, and I played instruments from the time I was I think 8 or 9 years old, all the way up to when I was 18, okay?
What'd you play, Brad?
Trombone, baritone, low brass, stuff like that,
okay? Yeah.
This guy dissects songs, and he did the Kelly Clarkson song, Since You've Been Gone. And what's interesting about it is he goes through it, and what's interesting, he's got the Pro Tools session, which means he can actually see the way it was laid down in the studio, and he can play the various tracks. He can play Kelly Clarkson singing harmony with herself, and in some parts of the song, she's singing like she's overdubbing 6 or 7 times. It's her.
Yeah, I've seen these videos. I haven't seen this. I'm sorry to interrupt. I haven't seen this gentleman. But I've seen folks show how different songs are made, and they go through and show Pro Tools. I may have even seen this gentleman's video. Go ahead.
Don't you think it's fascinating?
Yeah, it's incredible. Now, I'm partial to when they show rap samples being added in. So a lot of rap producers will take the drums from a certain song and then take, a certain bass line from a different song to create a rap song. But it's the same concept.
Well, the interesting thing for me is, having played instruments for a long time and be able to read music, he loses me because he goes through the thing, it's diminished 7 chord off the G minor. And I'm going, I have no idea what he's saying.
Yeah, but you're not his audience, right? His audience isn't a lay audience. His audience is people who probably produce music.
Well, are people who are music professors and stuff like that? Because what I find fascinating about that is so many times you hear, especially in the rock genre, you hear all these rock guys who say, I can't read music. And there's a lot of country guys who say, I can't read music. And they go, well, how do you play? They just listen to something and they just memorize and they can go from there. I find that fascinating. I really do. But anyway.
Yeah, it's a specific skill, right? Go ahead. I interrupted you.
No, it's to me, it's an incredible talent. I mean, I agreed it's a specific skill. But anyway, I just sort of throw it in there. Okay. Now, you gave me a plug in the A block. Okay. I'm the guy who criticizes KWMU, but yet I listen to it all the time. Okay. Last night, they had a fascinating show and I caught the replay, which is at 7 o'clock. Elaine Cha, is that how you pronounce her name? I always
Correct, yeah.
Okay, Elaine Cha. And she had Steve Templeton on, who is the chief meteorologist for Channel 4.
Yeah, good old Steve Templeton. Yeah, he's got, I love their weather app. I use their weather app.
Now, what's sort of fascinating to me was there's a theory in sales that if you want to essentially have the person you're trying to sell to, essentially what you do is you mirror them. If they speak very slow and very deliberate, when you give your sales pitch, you give very slow and deliberate.
Yeah, you match their tempo.
Right, okay. I swear he was doing that with her last night because of the fact that normally he's sort of an up-tempo guy. Hey, Steve Templeton, I'm the guy from Channel 4, Forewarned, whatever they call their thing. I think it's First Alert or whatever their deal is. He was like this last night. That's right, Elaine. And that's when that tornado almost came and hit us in the Channel 4 building. It was pretty interesting because you know this crazy story. It's 2 weeks ago tonight that storm, and I believe one of the actual tornadoes or one of the very high winds went right over their new building right there at 270 Page. You know where their new building is? Have you seen the new headquarters for Channel 4?
Yeah, you've talked about it on the air. Yeah, I have a good idea where it is, yeah.
Right, because it closed down Page for a couple of days afterwards because of the fact that it knocked down the power lines there on Page between 270 and Lindbergh, and they had it shut down for some time. But it was fascinating because he was talking about all these various things, how they have such a good relationship with the Weather Bureau, the NOAA people, but he was dissing Trump and Doge. Do you know why?
Oh, because I'm sure they cut some sort of, atmospheric forecasting system or something.
Well, what he was complaining about was there needs to be new blood in the meteorologists, and apparently there are a bunch of probationary meteorologists they hired who have not been there yet 2 years. They're government employees who are in probation for the first 2 years, and they're all going to get canned, or they already have gotten canned. I didn't really understand. It sounded like they were about ready to get canned, or they already been canned and stuff like that. And he talked about how the Weather Service is so important, and which it is. NOAA, and the interesting part of this is a lot of people don't realize there was a time when all the TV stations bought their own Doppler radar systems. That's pretty much gone. They're all using the same radar. They're taking a feed from the system that's out there in St. Charles County in Weldon Spring, just south of Highway 40 in the used to be called Missouri Research Park. Was that what it was called a long time ago?
Yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah, it's got a big state of Missouri logo on it, too.
Right. And I don't think, do they still call it Missouri Research Park?
I think so. I think that's still what the signage is.
Yeah. Well, it was fascinating because he talked about, I thought this was really interesting. He talked about the fact that they have their own chat bot, or not a bot, but they have their own chat system. And all the people on this chat system are all the TV meteorologists, the meteorologists out at the National, NOAA, out at the Weather Bureau. It's still called the Weather Bureau. That's the old school, out in Weldon Spring. MoDOT, IDOT, a lot of the different county emergency management agencies, dispatchers and stuff like that. And in case of emergencies like that, they go on the chat thing and they're instantly relaying things back and forth to each other. And to the point where they talked about, like, when they're developing, forecasting for the tornadoes head this way, you need to take cover. They are literally real time getting reports from people, who are monitoring Facebook and YouTube and other things for, the roof just got torn out of my neighbor's house. And they find out, where does that person live? It was pretty interesting. But the thing to me was, he's talking like that. And Elaine Wood says, Steve, now tell us about your job at Channel 4. Well, thank you, Elaine. It's so glad to be here. And I'm going like, God, what is he doing? It was just sort of weird,
Yeah, and, the most interesting thing, I'm looking for a picture to send you here. I think the most interesting thing about Fox 4's coverage was, the reporter Alexis Zotos?
I do.
Yeah, so she tweeted a picture from her basement. She shows a lot of, images from her life and things like this. I'm looking for the picture to send you here. I might not be able to send it until over the break if I can't. I don't want to stall us on the air. But she tweeted a picture from her basement, and she showed her kind of huddled up with her kids and things like that. It was pretty cute. But I noticed that where her slippers were, she had covered here. I'm going to send you a pic. I'm going to send you this tweet real quick. I'm going to pull a Brad Hildebrand and send you this tweet. I noticed that when she tweeted the picture out of her holding her beautiful child, that she covered her slippers up with an emoji. Now, I just sent you the tweet here, Brad. It should be coming up. You should bring this tweet up.
Why did she?
So take a look at.
Why did she cover her slippers?
So that's a great question, and I wondered why. I was like, well, maybe she has gnarled toes. Like
that's
maybe she's kind of duck-like. One of my favorite movies is Boomerang, which came out in 1992, featuring Eddie Murphy, and he was talking about how sometimes you can meet a perfect woman, a seemingly perfect woman, and then you look down and she's got like essentially duck feet. Now, I'm not a foot guy. I don't really examine toes that closely, but I'm like, well, maybe Alexis Zotos has bad feet. So I ask a female friend who's up on, she's knowledgeable about hot women being careful about what they post online. You get what I'm saying? Because of creepy men and such like that.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, Zotos probably doesn't want people to crop and sell her feet pictures.
What?
And I said, are you being serious? And I asked this woman who generally, has it together. I'm like, are you serious about this? And she responded to me and she goes, yep, I just found a Reddit thread. And, like attractive women, particularly women in the public eye, it's recommended they don't post like even pictures that show off their feet because there's a lot of feet. I'll be careful how we say this for YouTube. There's a lot of people who have a thing for feet who would look at an Alexis Zotos and be like, I love Alexis Zotos. I'm going to crop her feet out and post them for everyone to see. So anyway, Brad, you're the type of guy that would probably Google, edit out feet pictures from the internet and say, I could see you Googling that to fact check me here, and I would appreciate it. But yeah, so I think in this picture, and you have it in front of you now, I'm guessing Alexis Zotos was like, hey, I'm comfortable talking about my setup in the basement and my beautiful child that I'm holding here, but I don't want any freak shows staring at my feet.
Okay, the picture is you don't see her face. It looks like that's her stomach, and she looks like she's in a recliner or something like that. Isn't that?
Yeah, look, and you can tell, and it's a great promo for the station because she has First Alert 4. She has the same weather app that I was watching that night.
Right.
She has it up on her phone in front of her.
Right. And where her feet are in the picture, her baby is like on her stomach, and it's taking like it looks like she held the camera with her left hand, hold it over her head, and she's shooting down. So you see the baby on her stomach, you see the phone, looks like laying on like a coffee table or something like that to the left, and her 2 feet she's got covered with hearts, with heart emojis. It's like, okay, this is weird. No, it's funny you should bring this up, John, because just this morning, before I get on the air with you, I listen to other stations, and Kim St. Aj, who used to work at Channel 4, was telling the story about, she said it wasn't, before she worked at Channel 4, she worked at a TV station in Nashville, and it wasn't the meteorologist at the Nashville station she worked at. It was another Nashville station who was very popular in Nashville, and after 9 years, she just disappeared. She literally one day quit her job, walked away from it. Everybody's like, okay, what happened? Everybody was thinking there was some kind of a weird thing that happened at the station, maybe some kind of sexual kind of, harassment or something like that. And she just disappeared. Well, she said yesterday she found out the true story because this woman, I can't remember her name, she mentioned the lady's name in Nashville, went to the Tennessee State House and essentially testified in front of the state legislature about a bill that's coming out. And you know the bizarre reason why she quit television?
No, why?
Because people were taking her head because, she's on all these promo shots and stuff like that.
Watch your language. I think I know where this is going. Watch your language, Brad.
They were taking...
Were they putting it on other visuals?
Yes, they were putting on other women who, well, shall we say...
We're doing things. Yeah, we're doing things of a carnal nature.
Well, scantily clad or no clad, and they had fake Facebook pages put up. And essentially, the whole scheme was to get people to go to OnlyFans sites because
okay, so a little catfishing, so to speak.
Right, there were links in the thing, and she said she complained to Facebook on numerous occasions, and she said that they were responsive, that they would take down the page, and then she said it was like whack-a-mole. As soon as they took down one page, another page would show up. So finally, she said, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I can't go out in public because people go like, oh man, hey, saw your pictures on Facebook. And she got so embarrassed out in public because people thought it was actually her putting all these scantily clad or,
and by the way, if you believe that a newscaster would post suggestive pictures of herself online to drive you to their OnlyFans, you probably move your lips when you read.
Well, now, John, I will tell you right up front, I will essentially say that's not the case, because do you remember the case of the anchor woman who got fired from the TV station because what happened
You're
down
right. And Brad, you are being what we discussed in 2 segments yesterday, exceptions guy. So when I say generally newscasters aren't going to post provocative pictures of themselves, exceptions guy swoops in and says, remember that case in Maryland in 2019 when some, yep, you're right, Brad. You are right. And you know what? Yao Ming was an Asian basketball player, Brad. Good exception there. And you know what? That girl that you went to high school with in 11th grade, she was stronger than that other boy in your class.
What about the Jewish woman I dated in high school, Phyllis Quinn?
Yeah, she was Jewish and she grew up in North County, and you kept asking her if she was lost. You kept telling her that you would drive her to Temple, but it was down in Creve Coeur.
Okay.
Anyway, Alexis Zotos covers up her feet, and I'm guessing that I imagine that she's in a group. She has a lot of, professional friends that are also newscasters who probably were like, and I did Google it, Brad, while we've been on the air, and the headline is, excuse me, women censoring their feet on social media. Women who post pictures where their feet are visible are covering them with stickers or a Photoshop paintbrush.
Well,
so good for Alexis Zotos. This is kind of a best practice. You know what I'm saying?
See, John, you accused me of something. I have to be honest with you. I'm not a feet person. And
I didn't. And hold on, I'm going to interrupt you. I said you're the kind of guy that would go Google, why do women do this? Because you're intellectually curious. I wasn't suggesting you're a foot guy.
No,
go ahead.
But see, here I'm just the opposite. I think sandals should be outlawed. I really do.
You don't like to see people's toes?
No, well, first off, I don't. I think feet are sort of gross, maybe because of the fact that I have horrible feet. As a matter of fact, if you remember listening to when I used to do the show with Shelley, another one of my deformities, when I was like, my mom tells me this story. I mean, she told me this story. When I was like, I don't know, 2 or 3 months old, one day she said she put me into a little bassinet or whatever, and she came back later, and there was blood all over the bassinet. And she couldn't figure out what was going on. This was like 3 or 4 months
old.
And
that was how you circumcised yourself.
No,
why you're in your present conditions.
Well, no, I circumcised myself. It was... she couldn't figure out where the blood was coming from, and she took off. I had my little booties on, and she took my shoes off, and I had my big toe was like all mangled or something like that. Maybe she did it. I don't know. Who knows? So she took me to the doctor, and to this day, my big toes don't match. I have literally, if you see my 2 feet, and I'm not going to show my 2 feet because I have ugly feet, because I think most men have ugly feet.
Yeah, go ahead.
Most women have ugly feet. I'll just say that. I'm not a foot guy. I never have been. My toes, they look like 2 different people. And partly because of the fact, and at one point in time, she said that the doctor was going to amputate my big toe because it got infected and stuff like that. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm blind in one eye. I walk with a limp. I was going to have my big toe amputated. I don't know if I've ever told the story. I've broken my little toe in my right foot so many times by walking into things, stuff like that. It's so mangled. I went to the doctor one time and I said, can you just amputate it? And he goes, oh, you can't amputate it. I mean, I'm still amazed by the fact that I run into people all the time. I've never broken a bone in my life. I think to myself, never broken a bone in your life.
And I know your speech on this, which is like, you haven't had enough risks. Your parents coddled you. I've never broken a bone in my life, Brad.
Did your parents coddle you?
Yeah, absolutely. Look at me. You know how generous they are in Spanish Lake. You know how spoiled we are in Spanish Lake. So, Brad, I want you to pull in Alexis Zotos. I want you to start covering up your feet. As a unique twist of fate, one of my favorite people walking the earth is good friends with Alexis Zotos. And that keeps me, you'll notice on the show, even when she interviews, say, Tishara, and, it might be whatever. I find it hard to criticize Alexis Zotos because you know how like sometimes you have the favorite people in your life, if they really like somebody, then that other person can do no wrong. I feel that way about Alexis Zotos. Like if one of my best friends loves her, then she's got to be okay.
Here's the problem, and Alexis, hear me right now. You wouldn't have to put stupid hearts over your feet. Just wear some damn shoes all the time. That's all you need to do. Or put
around the house.
Put some socks on. Don't go barefoot. Okay,